The galaxy trembles at the mere thought of human soldiers. Their raw strength, ferocity, and unwavering resolve has earned them renown as the most terrifying fighting force known. So the Galactic Council, seeking to maintain peace and minimize destruction, has decided to bar humans from participating in a coming war against the ancient alien Void Legion, out of fear that humanity will bulldoze through the delicate fabric of interstellar stability with our characteristic recklessness. This latest insult galls Vincent Coleman to his core. Vincent, a grizzled veteran of countless human conflicts, storms through the vaulted halls of the Council's headquarters on the Tarian homeworld. His heavy boots thud against the polished floors as he marches into the grand chamber, a scowl etched onto his battle-scarred features. Alien dignitaries of various races peer down at him from their elevated seats, exuding an aura of haughty superiority. Spica, the Tarian official who summoned Vincent, steps forward. His elongated head tilts as he regards the fuming human. Commander Coleman, the Council has reached a decision. In light of humanity's, shall we say, excessively violent tendencies, we cannot allow your kind to engage in this war. The Void Legion has emerged from the abyss between galaxies, and already several isolated colonies have been annihilated. We must maintain order and security. Your destructive tactics are simply too unpredictable. Vincent's hands clench into fists at his sides. Are you serious? Humanity's strength is exactly what you need against this threat. We don't cower from a fight. Let us stand on the front lines and we'll send those void bastards running back to whatever hellhole they crawled out of. Murmurs and trills of disapproval echo through the chamber. Spica raises a slender hand to silence the council members. Our decree is final, Commander. Humans are to remain confined to your own star systems. Any violation will result in severe sanctions. The rest of the galactic community will handle this matter. You are dismissed. Rage boils in Vincent's veins, but he knows further argument is futile. This council of sniveling bureaucrats has no idea what they're up against. He turns on his heel and strides from the chamber, a plan already forming. To hell with their sanctions. Humanity won't just sit on the sidelines while the galaxy burns. Vincent will rally others to his cause. He'll gather weapons, ships, soldiers, and when the Void Legion comes knocking on their door, humanity will show the Council exactly why they should be feared. Why they're the most deadly force in the universe. Even if it means becoming fugitives, this is a fight mankind can't afford to stay out of. As Spica watches Vincent's retreating form, he can't help but feel a mix of worry and reluctant respect. Part of him wonders if they've just made a grave mistake. With the lines drawn and the stakes set, only one thing is certain. The coming war will reshape the very fabric of galactic civilization, for better or worse. The die has been cast. Vincent stalks through the dimly lit corridors of the battered freighter, his mind racing with the implications of the Council's decision. The ship hums around him, a patchwork of salvaged parts and hasty repairs. Marcus had called in every favor he had to secure the vessel and assemble a crew willing to follow Vincent into the unknown. "Vic, you sure about this?" Marcus asks, falling into step beside him. "Going rogue, defying the Council? It's a hell of a risk." Vincent's expression resolutens. "We don't have a choice. If the Council won't listen, we'll make them see the truth." They enter the cramped bridge, where a motley assortment of human mercenaries and engineers are hunched over consoles, prepping for departure. Vincent takes the central seat, his presence commanding attention. "Listen up," he barks. "We're heading to the fringes. The Void Legion is out there, and we need to find proof of what they're capable of. It won't be easy, but we're the only ones who can do this. Humanity's future is at stake." The crew exchanges glances, a mix of willpower and apprehension in their eyes. They know the dangers, but they also know the importance of their mission. As the ship plunges into the swirling vortex of FTL, Vincent pores over the scant intelligence they've managed to gather. Scattered reports of colonies going dark, whispers of an unstoppable force devouring everything in its path. Days later, they drop out of FTL on the edge of a remote star system. The scanners pinpoint the location of a small outpost on a desolate moon. As they approach, the telltale signs of destruction become clear. buildings reduced to rubble, scorch marks marring the surface. Vincent leads a heavily armed team to the surface, their boots crunching on the shattered remains of the outpost. The silence is deafening, the absence of life unnerving. They pick their way through the debris, searching for any clues to the attacker's identity. Suddenly, a burst of plasma fire erupts from a nearby ridge. Vincent and his team dive for cover, returning fire with their own weapons. The firefight is brutal and fast-paced, the humans outnumbered but not outmatched. In a daring move, Vincent flanks the enemy position, his augmented strength allowing him to close the distance quickly. He tackles one of the alien soldiers, wrestling them to the ground. The rest of the team surges forward, overwhelming the remaining Legion forces. Vincent drags the captured soldier back to the ship, determined to extract any information he can. Under the harsh glare of the interrogation room lights, the alien finally breaks. "The Void Legion. It's not just us," the soldier gasps. "The Void Master. He's enslaved dozens of races, augmenting them, bending them to his will, and he's coming for the Ktarians next." Vincent leans in, his eyes narrowing. "Where? When?" "The Naxos colony. It's the key to the Council's defenses. The attack, it's imminent." Vincent slams his fist on the table, the metal denting under the impact. He knows they have to act fast, but he also knows the Council will never believe him without proof. As they race back towards Ktarian space, Vincent can only hope that the information they've gathered will be enough to convince the Council of the looming threat. But even as they navigate the twisting corridors of FTL, a sense of unease grows in the pit of his stomach. The ship shudders as it's suddenly yanked out of FTL, alarms blaring across the bridge. On the interface, a sleek Ktarian patrol vessel looms large, its weapons aimed directly at them. "Unknown vessel, this is Counselor Spica of the Ktarian Defense Force. You are harboring a fugitive and are ordered to stand down immediately." Vincent grits his teeth, his hand hovering over the comms panel. He knows he has only one chance to make Spica listen, to make him see the danger that lurks on the horizon. With a deep breath, he opens the channel, ready to face the consequences of his actions and the fate of the stars itself. Vincent's finger hovers over the comms panel. He takes a deep breath and opens the channel. "Counselor Spica, this is Commander Coleman. We have critical intelligence about an imminent Void Legion attack. You need to hear this." There's a tense pause before Spica's voice crackles through. "You have 1 minute to explain yourself, Commander." Vincent quickly relays the information from the captured Void Legion soldier. As he speaks, the Ktarian patrol vessel locks onto their ship with a tractor beam, pulling them towards the Ktarian homeworld. Hours later, Vincent paces the confined space of his ship's bridge, now docked in a Ktarian hangar under heavy guard. Marcus leans against a console, arms crossed. "They've been deliberating for hours," Vincent growls. "Every second we waste gives the Void Legion more time to prepare." Marcus nods grimly. "If they don't listen, we'll have to take matters into our own hands. I've got a plan to override the docking clamps and—" A thunderous boom cuts him off. The ship rocks violently. Alarms blare as the hangar's emergency lights flash red. "What the hell was that?" Vincent shouts. Before anyone can respond, the ship's comm system crackles to life. Spica's voice, usually so controlled, now carries an edge of panic. "Commander Coleman, your temporary release is authorized. The Void Legion, they've begun their assault on the Naxos colony. Our forces are overwhelmed. We need your help." Vincent's eyes narrow. "Understood, Counselor. We're on our way." The human crew springs into action, prepping for immediate departure. As they break atmosphere, the vastness of space gives way to utter chaos. Void Legion warships swarm the Ktarian colony world, their energy weapons carving swaths of destruction across its surface. Vincent barks orders, coordinating with the Ktarian defenders. His ship weaves through the battle, human reflexes and ingenuity, allowing them to punch well above their weight class. They score several direct hits on Legion vessels, exploiting weaknesses Vincent identified from their previous encounter. On the ground, things are even more desperate. Vincent leads a strike team to reinforce a crumbling defensive line. They move with fluid precision, human combat instincts honed by centuries of warfare serving them well against the Legion's superior technology. A Katarian soldier stumbles, pinned down by Legion fire. Vincent doesn't hesitate. He charges forward, plasma rounds sizzling past him. With inhuman strength, he yanks the Katarian to safety, then turns and unloads his weapon into the advancing Legion troops. The battle rages for hours. Despite their valiant efforts, Vincent realizes they're fighting a losing battle. The Legion's numbers are simply too great. "We need to cut off the head," he growls to Marcus during a brief lull. "Their command ship. If we can take it out, it might give us a chance." Marcus nods grimly. "It's suicide, Vic." "Then we better make it count." Vincent assembles a small team of volunteers. They fight their way to a Tarian shuttle, modifying it on the fly with salvaged Void Legion tech. Using the chaotic space battle as cover, they make a daring approach to the massive Legion command vessel. Breaching the hull is the easy part. Inside, it's a gauntlet of automated defenses and Legion elite guards. Vincent's team fights tooth and nail through twisting corridors, relying on their captured intel and human adaptability to stay one step ahead. Finally, they reach the command center. The doors slide open to reveal a towering figure, the Legion commander. It's unlike anything Vincent has ever seen, a nightmarish fusion of alien biology and advanced cybernetics. The fight that follows is brutal and swift. Vincent's enhanced strength and combat experience are pushed to their limits. His team provides crucial support, keeping the commander's guards at bay while Vincent goes toe-to-toe with the monstrous leader. In a bold strategy, Vincent manages to grapple the commander, using its own cybernetic enhancements against it. With a sickening crunch, he overloads the commander's systems, sending it crashing to the ground. Wasting no time, Vincent's team gets to work on the ship's control systems. They upload a virus, disrupting the Legion's entire command structure. Outside, the tide of battle begins to turn as the invading forces fall into disarray. As the dust settles and the remaining Legion forces retreat, Vincent's ship limps back to the Tarian colony. The devastation is immense, but they've held the line. Katarian and human alike cheer as Vincent's team disembarks. Counselor Spica approaches, his usual haughty demeanor replaced by something approaching respect. "Commander Coleman," he begins, "it seems we may have misjudged the value of human intervention." Vincent meets his gaze steadily. "This is only the beginning, Counselor. The Legion will be back, and next time, they'll be ready for us. The question is, will you be ready to stand with humanity?" Vincent's ship docked at the Galactic Council's headquarters with a gentle thud. The crew exchanged nervous glances as they disembarked, unsure of what awaited them. To their surprise, Counselor Spica stood at the entrance, his posture less rigid than before. "Commander Coleman," Spica said, extending a hand. "Your presence is requested by the Council." Vincent shook the offered hand, noting the change in Spica's demeanor. "Lead the way, Counselor." They walked through winding corridors until they reached a massive set of doors. Spica paused, turning to Vincent. "What you did at Naxos, it's changed things. The Council is ready to listen." Inside, the Council chamber buzzed with hushed conversations. As Vincent entered, the room fell silent. He stood before the assembled leaders, feeling the weight of their gazes. The head counselor spoke first. "Commander Coleman, your actions at Naxos have forced us to reassess our stance on human involvement. We underestimated your species' capabilities." Vincent listened as the council recounted the battle, praising the unconventional tactics that had turned the tide. The admission of their error hung heavy in the air. After hours of deliberation, the head counselor stood. "We hereby rescind the ban on human participation in the war effort. Furthermore, Commander Coleman, we appoint you as Special Liaison Officer to coordinate human forces with our own." Vincent's mind raced with the implications. "I accept the position," he said firmly, "and I have some ideas on how we can strike back at the Legion." Over the next weeks, Vincent threw himself into his new role. He contacted old war buddies, mercenary groups, and skilled engineers. A remote planet became their base of operations, transformed into a bustling training ground. In the command center, Vincent pored over intelligence reports with Spica and council analysts. "The Void Master," Spica explained, pointing to a holographic display. "He commands from a mobile fortress, constantly on the move." Vincent's eyes narrowed. "That's our target. Cut off the head and the body falls." He assembled an elite strike team, the best humanity had to offer, along with a handful of council special forces. Their mission: infiltrate the Void Master's fortress and end his reign of terror. The team's ship weaved through treacherous space lanes, narrowly avoiding Legion patrols. As they approached the fortress, Vincent addressed his team. "This is it. We hit hard, we hit fast, and we don't stop until the job's done." Breaching the fortress was like diving into hell. Alarms blared as they fought through waves of Legion troops. The Void Guard lived up to their fearsome reputation, each one a walking tank of alien flesh and cybernetic enhancements. Vincent's team pushed forward, using every trick in their arsenal. They set traps, used misdirection, and exploited weaknesses in the Legion's rigid tactics. Slowly, they clawed their way deeper into the fortress. Finally, they reached the central chamber. The doors hissed open, revealing the Void Master, a towering monstrosity of alien biology and advanced tech. Its voice boomed through the chamber. "Insignificant creatures, your resistance is futile." Vincent's team spread out, unleashing a barrage of weapons fire. The Void Master shrugged off their attacks, retaliating with devastating energy blasts. But Vincent noticed something, a pattern in its movements, a reliance on its cybernetic enhancements. "Target the power nodes," Vincent shouted, dodging a massive fist. His team adapted quickly, focusing their fire on key points of the Void Master's cybernetic systems. The battle raged on, a desperate struggle against a seemingly unstoppable foe. But slowly, inexorably, they wore the Void Master down. Its movements became sluggish, its attacks less coordinated. With a final, concentrated assault, Vincent's team overwhelmed the Void Master's defenses. It stumbled, systems failing, and crashed to the ground. Alarms blared throughout the fortress. "Time to go!" Vincent yelled, leading his team back through the chaos. They fought their way to their ship, launched into space as the fortress began to break apart behind them. As they sped away, Vincent allowed himself a moment of hope. The Void Master was defeated, its iron grip on the Legion shattered. Now, with humanity fighting alongside the Council, they had a real chance to push back against the invasion. Across the galaxy, Council forces launched a massive counteroffensive. Human ships joined the fray, their unorthodox tactics catching the Legion off guard. For the first time since the war began, the tide was turning. Vincent stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the battle unfold on tactical displays. There was still a long fight ahead, but now they had a chance. Humanity had proven its worth, and together with their new allies, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. Vincent stood before the holographic display, his eyes scanning the intricate web of Legion supply lines and communication hubs. Spica and the Council's military leadership gathered around, their faces etched with anticipation. "Here, here, and here," Vincent said, pointing to keynotes on the map. "We hit these targets simultaneously, small teams, in and out before they know what hit them." Spica nodded, his antennae twitching with excitement. "And the main assault?" Vincent zoomed in on a heavily fortified planet. "This is their primary staging ground. We hit it with everything we've got." As the plan unfolded, human strike teams fanned out across the galaxy. On a remote outpost, Marcus led a squad through winding corridors, their footsteps silent on the metal grating. They reached a massive server room, the heart of the Legion's communication network for the sector. "Plant the charges," Marcus whispered. His team worked swiftly, attaching explosive devices to critical systems. Elsewhere, Vincent's boots hit the ground on the Legion stronghold planet. Plasma fire lit up the sky as Council dropships deployed wave after wave of troops. Vincent ducked behind a crumbling wall, chunks of concrete raining down around him. "Push forward," he shouted, leading a charge against a Legion fortification. Human soldiers moved with practiced precision, their reflexes honed by centuries of warfare giving them an edge over the rigid Legion tactics. As they fought through the war-torn cityscape, Vincent's team stumbled upon a hidden research facility. Inside, they found rows of stasis tanks filled with a swirling, sickly green substance. "What the hell is this?" one of his soldiers asked, voice tight with unease. Vincent approached a nearby console, his fingers flying over the alien interface. "Some kind of bioweapon," he said, his face grim. "Grab samples. We need to get this to our science teams." The battle raged on for days. Vincent's comlink crackled to life. "Commander," Spica's voice came through, tense and urgent. "A massive Legion fleet is inbound. If they reach the planet, all our gains will be for nothing." Vincent's mind raced, formulating a plan. "I've got an idea, but it's risky as hell." He outlined his strategy to Spica and the council leadership. There was a moment of stunned silence before Spica spoke. "It's audacious, Commander, but it just might work." Vincent's forces began a coordinated withdrawal from the planet's surface, leaving behind a small, visible presence to maintain the illusion of an ongoing siege. Meanwhile, the bulk of the human and council fleet slipped away, concealing themselves within the swirling gases of a nearby nebula. Vincent sat in the cockpit of his fighter, adrenaline coursing through his veins as he waited with his squadron. The sensors pinged. The Legion fleet had arrived. "All units, engage!" Vincent shouted, gunning his engines. His fighter squadron erupted from the nebula, catching the Legion ships in a devastating crossfire. Vincent's fighter weaved through the chaos, dodging energy blasts and debris as he made a beeline for the Legion flagship. With a series of impossibly tight maneuvers, he slipped past its outer defenses. "I'm going in," he growled, pushing his fighter to its limits. He found a vulnerable spot in the flagship's hull and unleashed a barrage of missiles before peeling away. The Legion flagship erupted in a series of explosions, listing to one side as its systems failed. All around, the ambush took its toll on the Legion fleet. Caught off guard and outmaneuvered, the once mighty armada began to crumble. As the remnants of the Legion forces retreated, Vincent led the charge in pursuit. His voice rang out over the comms, rallying human and council ships alike. "Don't let up. We've got them on the run." The decisive victory sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Vincent's hollow image was broadcast on countless worlds as news of the battle spread. Alien races that had once viewed humanity with suspicion now clamored to join the fight against the Legion. On the bridge of his command ship, Vincent watched as reports of new allies flooded in. Spica approached, a rare smile on his face. "It seems the galaxy is beginning to see humanity as we do, Commander, as invaluable allies in this war." Vincent nodded, his eyes fixed on the starfield beyond. The tide had turned, but he knew the fight was just getting started. The Legion was wounded but not defeated, and somewhere out there, they were no doubt planning their next move. Vincent's eyes scanned the holographic display, the vast expanse of Legion-controlled space stretching before him. Red markers dotted the map, each representing a potential target. His finger hovered over a pulsing icon near the galactic core. "There," he said, tapping the display. "The Forge of Xanthor." Spica leaned in, his antennae twitching. "A bold choice, Commander. That shipyard produces nearly a quarter of the Legion's fleet." Vincent nodded, his heart made. "Which is exactly why we're going to hit it." The briefing room buzzed with activity as Vincent laid out the plan. Human operators stood shoulder to shoulder with Catarian special forces, an unlikely alliance forged in the crucible of war. "We'll approach using the Phantom Protocol," Vincent explained, bringing up schematics of their stealth ships. "Our tech boys have found a way to exploit gaps in their sensor grid. We'll be ghosts until we're right on top of them." The strike force moved out, a dozen ships slipping into the void of space. Vincent sat in the lead vessel, his hands steady on the controls as they navigated the treacherous approach to the shipyard. Massive structures loomed ahead, skeletal frames of half-built warships suspended in space. Vincent's voice crackled over the comm. "All units go dark. Radio silence from here on out." They glided past automated defense platforms, their sensors blind to the intruders. Vincent's heart pounded as they docked with the outer hull, maglocks engaging with a soft thud. Inside, the strike force split up. Vincent nodded to his team, Spica at his side. They moved through narrow corridors, the hum of machinery growing louder. A security patrol rounded the corner. Vincent reacted instantly, his plasma rifle spitting blue fire. The Legionnaires fell before they could raise the alarm. "Central Command this way," Spica whispered, consulting a stolen schematic. They breached the command center in a storm of gunfire and flashbangs. Vincent vaulted over a console, his boot connecting with a Legionnaire's face. Spica moved with fluid grace, his energy blades slicing through armor and flesh. As the smoke cleared, Vincent accessed the main terminal. His fingers flew over the alien interface, disabling defensive systems and shutting down production lines. "Charges are set," a voice reported over the comm. "Ready to blow on your command." Vincent's team fought their way back through the shipyard. Alarms blared as the Legion realized they were under attack. Plasma bolts sizzled past, leaving scorch marks on the walls. They reached the docking bay, only to find their escape route blocked. A massive figure stood before them, clad in ornate battle armor. "The shipyard commander," Spica hissed. The warlord's voice boomed through the chamber. "You dare invade my domain?" Vincent raised his rifle. "We're about to do a lot more than that." The battle was fierce and brutal. Vincent rolled under a sweeping energy blade, returning fire as he came up. Spica flanked the warlord, his own blade dancing in deadly arcs. Working in perfect sync, they wore down the commander's defenses. Vincent saw an opening and took it, his shot piercing a weak point in the armor. The warlord stumbled, and Spica delivered the final blow. "All units, fall back!" Vincent shouted as they raced for their ships. Behind them, the first explosions rocked the shipyard. They undocked, just as secondary detonations chain-reacted through the facility. Vincent's hands flew over the controls, weaving through debris and weapons fire as they made their escape. As they jumped to hyperspace, Vincent allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The Forge of Xanthor, pride of the Legion's naval power, was no more. Back at Council headquarters, the mood was jubilant. Vincent stood before the assembled leaders, Spica at his side. "Your success at the shipyard has exceeded our wildest expectations," the head counselor said. "The Legion's ability to wage war has been severely crippled." Vincent nodded, his mind already racing with plans. "We need to press our advantage, hit them again while they're reeling." He outlined his strategy, a series of lightning strikes against key Legion strongholds. The council listened intently, their earlier skepticism replaced by eager anticipation. As the meeting adjourned, Spica approached Vincent. "You continue to surprise me, human," he said, a note of respect in his voice. Vincent allowed himself a small smile. "We're just getting started, my friend. The real fight is still to come." "Come." Vincent's eyes narrowed as he studied the intelligence reports sprawled across the holotable. The swirling clouds of the Orion Nebula glowed faintly on the display, concealing a prize too tempting to ignore. "There," he said, tapping a pulsing red marker deep within the nebula's heart. "The Legion's primary supply depot for this sector." Spica leaned in, his antennae twitching with interest. "A formidable target, Commander. The defenses will be considerable." Vincent nodded, a plan already forming in his mind. "Which is why we're going to hit it with everything we've got." The briefing room buzzed with activity as Vincent laid out his strategy to a hand-picked team of human operatives and Katarian special forces. Holograms flickered to life, displaying schematics of the supply depot's defenses and surrounding terrain. "We'll approach using a modified version of the Phantom Protocol," Vincent explained, bringing up images of their stealth ships. "Our tech teams have found a way to mask our energy signatures within the nebula's radiation. We'll be invisible until we're right on top of them." As the strike force prepared to move out, Vincent felt a familiar tension coiling in his gut. This mission could turn the tide of the war, but one misstep could spell disaster. The journey into the Orion Nebula was treacherous. Vincent's hands gripped the controls of his ship as they navigated through swirling clouds of gas and dust. Spatial anomalies warped the fabric of space around them, threatening to tear their vessels apart. "All units, maintain formation," Vincent's voice crackled over the comms. "Stay sharp. Legion patrols could be anywhere in this soup." As they neared their target, Vincent gave the order to split the strike force. He led his team towards the depot's perimeter, while Spica's group held back, poised to strike once the defenses were down. Vincent's team moved with practiced stealth, their advanced cloaking technology rendering them nearly invisible to the Legion's sensors. They reached the outer defensive perimeter, where towering energy barriers hummed with lethal power. "All right, people," Vincent whispered. "We've got one shot at this. Exploit those vulnerabilities and get us inside." His tech specialist worked feverishly, fingers dancing across a portable terminal as she sought to breach the Legion's security protocols. Tense seconds ticked by until, "I'm in," she hissed triumphantly. A section of the energy barrier flickered and died, leaving a gap just wide enough for the team to slip through. They moved swiftly through the depot's outer structures, dodging patrols and staying to the shadows. As they approached the primary control center, Vincent raised a closed fist, bringing the team to a halt. "This is it," he said, his voice low and steady. "Once we breach, all hell's going to break loose. Stay focused, watch each other's backs, and we'll make it through this." With a nod to his demolitions expert, Vincent counted down. 3, 2, 1, breach! The door to the control center exploded inward in a shower of metal and sparks. Vincent's team surged through the opening, their weapons blazing. Legion security forces reacted with mechanical precision, but the element of surprise gave the strike team a crucial advantage. Plasma bolts sizzled through the air as Vincent dove for cover behind a bank of consoles. He popped up, squeezing off precise shots that dropped 2 Legionnaires in quick succession. "Control terminal, northwest corner," Vincent shouted over the din of battle. "We need to override those defensive systems now." His tech specialist sprinted across the room, sliding into position behind the main control interface. Legion reinforcements poured into the chamber, forcing Vincent and his team to fight with desperate intensity. "How much longer?" Vincent grunted, ducking as a plasma bolt scorched the air where his head had been a moment before. "Almost there," the specialist replied, her fingers a blur over the alien controls. "Just need to—" "Got it. Defensive grid is offline." Vincent keyed his comm unit. "Spica, you're clear. Hit them with everything you've got." Outside, the sky erupted in fire as Spica's assault force unleashed a devastating barrage. Artillery shells and fighter strikes rained down on the depot's surface structures, shattering hardened defenses and igniting secondary explosions. Vincent's team fought their way deeper into the facility, planting high-yield charges at key structural points. The sounds of battle echoed through the corridors as they worked, Legion forces mounting a fierce but ultimately futile defense. "Charges set," Vincent's demolitions expert reported. "Ready to blow on your command." Vincent nodded grimly. "Do it. Let's bring this place down around their ears." The first detonation shook the entire facility, a chain reaction of explosions rippling through the depot's infrastructure. Alarms blared as the strike team fought their way towards their extraction point. As they neared the exit, a massive figure stepped into their path. The Legion commander stood before them, flanked by a cadre of elite guards. His armor gleamed with an otherworldly sheen, and the weapon in his hands crackled with barely contained energy. "You dare assault my fortress?" The commander's voice boomed, amplified by his suit systems. "Your deaths will serve as an example to all who oppose the Legion." Vincent raised his rifle, a grim smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "I've got a better idea," he said. "How about we use your corpse instead?" The battle that followed was brutal and intense. Vincent and his team fought with desperate courage, their weapons barely denting the commander's advanced armor. Just as it seemed they might be overwhelmed, a familiar war cry echoed through the chamber. Spica burst onto the scene, his energy blade carving a path through the commander's guards. Together, Vincent and Spica engaged the Legion leader in a furious duel, their combined skill and tactics slowly wearing down his defenses. With a final coordinated assault, they brought the commander to his knees. Vincent didn't hesitate, putting a plasma round through a weak point in the alien's armor. "Strike team, fall back!" Vincent shouted as the facility began to crumble around them. "We're pulling out!" They fought their way to their extraction point, boarding their ships just as the supply depot collapsed in on itself. As they sped away from the Orion Nebula, Vincent allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The Legion's supply lines lay in ruins, dealing a crippling blow to their war effort. Back at Allied headquarters, the mood was electric. Vincent stood before the assembled Galactic Council, Spica at his side, as they recounted the success of their mission. "Your victory at the Orion Depot has exceeded our highest expectations," the head counselor said, genuine admiration in his voice. "The Legion's ability to wage war has been severely hampered." Vincent nodded, his mind already racing with possibilities. "We need to press our advantage," he said. "Hit them again while they're reeling." He outlined a daring new plan, one that could potentially end the war once and for all. As he spoke, Vincent saw the spark of hope ignite in the eyes of the council members. "A coordinated strike to capture a high-ranking Legion commander," Vincent explained, his voice filled with conviction. "With the intelligence we could extract, we'd have a real shot at taking down their remaining strongholds." The council members exchanged glances, weighing the risks against the potential rewards. Finally, the head counselor spoke. "Very well, Commander Coleman," he said. "You have our approval. Prepare your forces. This may be our best chance to end this war once and for." Vincent's eyes narrowed as he studied the holographic display of the Legion-controlled system. The patrol route glowed red, a tempting target for their audacious plan. "We'll hit them here," he said, pointing to a spot where the route passed through a dense asteroid field. "The debris will mask our approach and give us the element of surprise." Spica nodded, his antennae twitching with anticipation. "A bold strategy, Commander, but if anyone can pull it off, it's your team." The strike force moved into position, their stealth ships ghosting through the asteroid field. Vincent's fingers drummed on the arm of his command chair as they waited, tension thick in the air. "Contact," the sensor officer whispered. "Legion convoy approaching." Vincent leaned forward. "All units, prepare to engage on my mark." The convoy emerged from the shadows of a massive asteroid, a heavily armed escort surrounding a sleek command ship. Vincent's breath caught in his throat as he recognized the distinctive markings of a high-ranking Legion commander. "Now!" Vincent barked. A barrage of precision-guided missiles streaked from their hidden positions, slamming into the escort ships. Explosions bloomed in the vacuum of space as shields failed and hulls ruptured. "Boarding team, move in!" Vincent ordered, already racing for the airlock. He and Spica led the charge, their strike team following close behind. They breached the command ship's hull with shaped charges, bursting into a corridor filled with startled Legion guards. Plasma bolts sizzled through the air as both sides opened fire. Vincent ducked behind a bulkhead, squeezing off shots that dropped two guards in quick succession. Spica moved with fluid grace, his energy blade carving through Legion armor like paper. They fought their way deeper into the ship, the sounds of battle echoing through metal corridors. As they neared the bridge, a massive figure stepped into their path. Gorath the Merciless towered over them, his battle-scarred armor gleaming under harsh lights. The Legion warlord's voice boomed through his helmet speakers. "You dare invade my ship? Your corpses will decorate my throne room." Vincent raised his rifle, a grim smile playing at his lips. "I've got a better idea. How about you come quietly and we won't have to redecorate your face?" Gorath roared and charged, his massive energy axe cleaving the air where Vincent had stood a moment before. Vincent rolled to the side, his rifle spitting plasma bolts that splashed harmlessly off the warlord's shields. Spica darted in, his energy blade clashing against Gorath's axe in a shower of sparks. The two aliens traded blows at blinding speed, a deadly dance of advanced weaponry and superhuman reflexes. Vincent saw an opening and took it, firing a burst that overloaded a weak point in Gorath's shields. The warlord stumbled, and Spica's blade found its mark, slicing through the joint of Gorath's armor. With a bellow of pain and rage, Gorath went down. Vincent was on him in an instant, slapping restraints around the warlord's massive wrists. "Strike team, fall back!" Vincent shouted as alarms blared throughout the ship. "We've got our prize! Let's get the hell out of here!" They fought their way back to their boarding craft, dragging the captured warlord with them. As they undocked, the sensors lit up with incoming Legion reinforcements. "Evasive maneuvers!" Vincent ordered as they raced for the safety of the asteroid field. Enemy fire lanced past them, missing by mere meters as they weaved through the debris. Once safely aboard their stealth ship, Vincent allowed himself a moment to catch his breath. He looked at the restrained form of Gorath, a fierce satisfaction burning in his chest. "Take us home," he said to the pilot, "and get our interrogation team ready. We've got a lot of work to do." The grueling interrogation sessions stretched on for days. Gorath resisted at first, but the combination of advanced techniques and the harsh reality of his situation slowly broke him down. Vincent leaned in close, his voice low and dangerous. "You can make this easy on yourself, Gorath. Tell us what we want to know, and maybe you'll live to see the end of this war." Gorath's eyes, filled with a mixture of hatred and fear, met Vincent's. "You have no idea what you're up against, human. The things we've created, they'll destroy everything." "Then help us stop it," Vincent urged. "Give us the locations of your strongholds, your research facilities. Help us end this before it's too late." Slowly, painfully, the information began to flow. Vincent and Spica pored over star charts and classified documents, piecing together the full extent of the Legion's operations. As the picture became clear, Vincent felt a chill run down his spine. The bioweapon facility Gorath had revealed was a nightmare beyond imagining. "We have to hit this place," Vincent said, pointing to a heavily fortified installation deep in Legion territory. "If they unleash what they're cooking up in there, the entire galaxy could fall." Spica nodded gravely. "Agreed, but the defenses will be formidable. This won't be an easy fight." Vincent's expression resolute as he began formulating a plan. "Then we'd better get started. Assemble the team. We're going in." Vincent's comm unit crackled to life, interrupting the tense silence of the war room. "Commander Coleman, urgent transmission from Council Intelligence." He exchanged a glance with Spica, noting the concern in his alien friend's eyes. "Put it through." The holographic display flickered, revealing a grim-faced intelligence officer. "Commander, we've received disturbing news. The Legion has rallied under a new leader, Vraknar, the Despoiler." Vincent's eyebrows furrowed as he listened to the briefing. Vraknar had consolidated his forces in the Kylor system, transforming it into a fortress world. Worse, intelligence suggested he was preparing for a massive offensive against Allied space. "Well, we can't let that happen," Vincent said, studying the tactical display of the Kylor system. "Spica, what do you think about a preemptive strike?" The Qatarian's antennae twitched as he considered the proposal. "Risky, but necessary. We must act before Vraknar can unleash his assault." Over the next days, Vincent and Spica worked tirelessly to assemble their forces. Human destroyers and cruisers joined Qatarian battleships in high orbit, their crews running final system checks. Vincent paced the bridge of his flagship, watching as the massive fleet took shape. "All ships report ready, Commander," his XO announced. Vincent nodded, his voice steady as he opened a channel to the entire fleet. "This is Commander Coleman. The Void Legion thinks they can regroup and strike at the heart of our territories. We're going to show them just how wrong they are. All ships, prepare for jump to the Kylor system." Space twisted as hundreds of ships engaged their FTL drives simultaneously. They emerged into chaos, immediately under fire from the Legion's defensive pickets. "Evasive maneuvers," Vincent barked. "Fighters, launch and engage those patrol craft. Cruiser groups, target those orbital platforms." The void erupted in searing light as energy weapons and missiles crisscrossed space. Vincent's tactical acumen shone as he directed the fleet, exploiting weaknesses in the Legion's formations. Human fighters darted between capital ships, their unconventional attack patterns catching the enemy off guard. "We've breached their outer defenses," Spica reported from his own command ship. "Troop transports are moving into position for planetfall." Vincent watched the tactical display, his heart racing as the first wave of dropships plunged through Kylor Prime's atmosphere. "Ground forces, this is Coleman. You're clear for deployment. Establish that beachhead at all costs." He turned to his XO. "Prep my shuttle. I'm joining the ground assault." Minutes later, Vincent's boots hit the scorched earth of Kylor Prime, the air filled with the staccato of weapons fire and the screams of the wounded. He led his shock troops forward, pushing towards the primary defensive nexus. A sickly green mist began to spread across the battlefield. Vincent's suit sensors screamed warnings as the bioengineered toxins ate through unprotected equipment and flesh. "All units, seal your enviro suits," Vincent ordered, watching in horror as the very ground beneath their feet began to bubble and warp. "Push forward. We can't let this stop us." They fought their way through the toxic haze, Vincent's troops demonstrating their trademark resilience. The Legion's defenses crumbled before their relentless assault. At last, they reached the central command bunker. Vincent readied his weapon as the massive blast doors creaked open. "This is it, people. Let's end this." They surged forward, only to be met by a hail of energy fire. Vincent dove for cover, catching his first glimpse of Vracanar the Despoiler. The Legion commander towered over his cybernetically enhanced guards, his armor jam-packed with deadly weaponry. "You dare invade my stronghold!" Vracanar's voice boomed across the chamber. "I will crush your pathetic species beneath my heel!" Vincent's troops scattered, engaging the cyborg shock troops in vicious close-quarters combat. He vaulted over a barrier, unleashing a burst of plasma fire that scorched Vracanar's shields. The two commanders clashed in a fury of blows, their weapons sparking as they connected. Vincent's human reflexes were pushed to their limit as he parried and struck, searching for a weakness in Vracanar's defenses. A lucky shot from one of Vincent's soldiers overloaded a portion of Vracanar's shield. Vincent seized the opportunity, driving his combat knife deep into a gap in the alien's armor. With a final, desperate heave, he brought the despoiler crashing to the ground. Vracanar's death cry echoed through the command center. The remaining Legion forces, seeing their leader fall, began to break ranks and flee. Vincent stood over his fallen foe, chest heaving as he keyed his comm unit. "This is Coleman. The despoiler is down. I repeat, Vracanar has been eliminated." A cheer went up from the Allied forces, both on the ground and in orbit. Vincent allowed himself a small smile as he watched the tactical display, showing the Legion's remaining forces in full retreat. "All units, press the attack," he ordered. "Let's finish this." Over the next hours, the Allied fleet systematically dismantled the Legion's remaining strongholds in the Kylor system. Victory was theirs, but the cost had been high. As the dust settled, Vincent found himself standing before the Galactic Council, Spica at his side. The gathered leaders looked upon them with newfound respect. "Commander Coleman, Battlemaster Spica," the head counselor began, "your actions have saved countless lives and struck a decisive blow against the Void Legion. Without the intervention of your forces, particularly the human contingent, we may well have faced utter devastation." Vincent nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. "We did what was necessary, counselor, but the fight isn't over yet." "Indeed," the counselor agreed. "Which is why we have a proposal for you, Commander. We would like to appoint you as a permanent military liaison to the Council. Your expertise will be crucial as we integrate human forces and strategies into our long-term defense plans." Vincent straightened, a surge of pride flowing through him. "It would be my honor, Counselor." As the council session concluded, Vincent gazed out at the stars visible through the chamber's massive viewport. The Void Legion's threat had been neutralized, and humanity had proven itself a vital member of the galactic community. He turned to Spica, seeing his own mix of exhaustion and hope mirrored in his friend's alien features. "Well," Vincent said, "I guess our work is just beginning." Spica's mandibles clicked in what Vincent had come to recognize as a smile. Indeed, my friend, but together I believe we are ready for whatever challenges lie ahead. Vincent nodded, his mind already racing with plans for the future. The galaxy was vast, and there would always be new threats to face. But now, united, they stood ready to meet them head-on. Vincent's fists clenched as he digested the Council's latest intelligence report. The Void Legion, thought to be defeated, had spawned a dangerous offshoot. He slammed the data pad onto the table, startling Spica. "We can't let them regroup," Vincent growled. "We need to hit them hard and fast." Spica's antenna twitched in agreement. "What do you propose?" Vincent pulled up a holographic map of the Alcyon cluster. "A strike force. Our best operatives, both human and Katarian. We go in, we find this Void Harbinger, and we end this once and for all." Over the next days, Vincent assembled his team. Grizzled human veterans stood shoulder to shoulder with lithe Katarian Special Forces operatives. As they boarded their stealth cruiser, Vincent addressed the group. "This won't be easy," he said, his voice carrying across the hangar. "The Alcyon cluster is uncharted, dangerous, but what awaits us there is far worse. We're the only thing standing between these fanatics and galactic chaos." The ship plunged into the swirling maelstrom of the Alcyon cluster. Spatial distortions racked the hull, alarms blaring as the crew fought to keep them on course. Vincent gripped his chair, watching as a ribbon of energy lashed across their bow, missing them by mere meters. Weeks passed in a haze of constant vigilance and near misses. Finally, their sensors pinged. A massive structure loomed before them, a derelict Legion shipyard, eerily dark against the backdrop of shimmering nebulae. "That's it," Vincent breathed. "Prepare for assault." Their boarding pods screamed towards the station. As they breached the hull, Vincent's boots hit the deck with a clang. Instantly, the air filled with weapons fire. Cultists in wraith-like armor poured from side corridors, shrieking battle cries. Vincent ducked behind a fallen support beam, plasma bolts sizzling overhead. He popped up, his rifle spitting death, downing 3 cultists in rapid succession. Beside him, a Katarian operative lashed out with a vibro blade, gutting an enemy who got too close. They pushed deeper into the station, fighting tooth and nail for every meter. The corridors twisted and branched, forcing them to split into smaller teams. Vincent led his squad down a promising path, the walls becoming increasingly covered in strange, pulsing circuitry. They rounded a corner and froze. Before them stood a massive chamber dominated by a swirling vortex of impossible geometries. At its center floated a small, impossibly dense object, the Void Cipher. "By all the stars," Spica whispered, his normally stoic face slack with awe and horror. A figure stepped from the shadows, clad in ornate robes that seemed to drink in the light. "Welcome, Commander Coleman." The Void Harbinger's voice dripped with malice. "I've been expecting you." Vincent raised his weapon, but the Harbinger gestured. Arcs of crackling energy lashed out, sending Vincent and his team sprawling. "You have no idea of the power you're dealing with," the Harbinger sneered, lowering their hood to reveal the familiar face of a Galactic Council member. "With the cipher, I will reshape reality itself." Vincent struggled to his feet, his mind racing. He caught Spica's eye, a silent plan forming between them. "Now!" Vincent roared. They sprang into action. Vincent unleashed a barrage of fire, forcing the Harbinger back. Spica darted towards a nearby control panel, his fingers flying over the keys. Alarms blared as the station's reactors began to overload. The Harbinger howled in rage, launching a wave of energy that sent Vincent crashing into a wall. As his vision swam, he saw Spica grappling with the traitor, both of them teetering on the edge of the vortex. "Go!" Spica shouted, his eyes meeting Vincent's one last time. "I'll hold them off." Vincent stumbled to his feet, his heart breaking as he watched his friend disappear into the maelstrom, taking the Harbinger with him. He ran, the station shaking itself apart around him. He barely made it to an escape pod, the shipyard erupting into a cataclysm of light and energy behind him. As the pod tumbled through space, Vincent allowed himself a moment of grief for his lost comrade. Days later, he stood before the Galactic Council, his body battered but his spirit unbroken. He recounted the mission, watching their faces grow pale at the revelation of the traitor in their midst. But as Vincent finished his report, he saw something change in their eyes. Fear, not of the Void Legion, but of humanity itself. The Council's decision hit him like a physical blow. Humanity, isolated, cut off from the stars they had fought so hard to protect. As he stormed from the chamber, a whirlwind of emotions threatening to overwhelm him, Vincent caught sight of a young Tarian, Tiran, Spica's former aide. Their eyes met, a silent understanding passing between them. Vincent's path was clear. He would not let his friend's sacrifice be in vain. He would not let humanity be caged. Whatever the cost, he would fight for their place among the stars. The real war, he realized, was just beginning.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.